this video on House of Machismo podcast. It's House of Machismo.
All right, Sauce. Did you think of something that's on your mind? All right, what's been on your mind?
I am very excited that this week is X-Men 97.
Oh,
really?
I wore my X-Men hoodie today.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. Big fan of Jim Lee's my favorite comic book artist of all time. So this era of X-Men that, with the cartoon and everything, everything's based off of Jim Lee's art, everything like that. But I was like a big fan of the original series.
Is Gambit or Wolverine your favorite X-Men?
It's actually Beast.
Beast.
Oh,
okay,
okay.
cool.
So actually, look. I got a little keychain right here.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
So yeah, Beast is actually my favorite X-Men. But yeah, I'm excited for the series. I saw they did like a little clip the other day, and I was like looking at the animation, like, wow, this looks like it's gonna be cool.
Well, I mean, the animation has gone up in budget basically since the 90s. So
it looks the same, but then it's like more cleaned up. You can tell it's like computer animated.
Not to put a negative spin on it, but did they fire? I think
they fired one of the showrunners.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like one of the writers. Like he was writing on Moon Knight, the TV series, like a couple other series too. But apparently, he was like really creepy.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, because I didn't really do a lot of digging into it, but I heard like he had like an OnlyFans, and that was part of the reason they decided to part ways. Which, I mean, hey, you know what? If you're working for Disney, if you have an OnlyFans, it kind of doesn't really work out very much.
Well, it depends what was on his OnFans.
It's
not all porn.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true. I mean, it could have just been feet pics.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, who knows?
I don't
know. Anyway, my favorite X-Men character is Rogue.
Oh, yeah.
That's my favorite X-Men character. Wolverine, I think, is just too much over the top.
He's over the top.
It's like, oh boy, whenever he doesn't, because I would watch the original. I have it all on DVD, the original cartoon. And then it just seems like anytime Wolverine has a disagreement with someone, how about you argue with these? And it's like, that's your solution to everything.
Yeah, like as a kid, you love Wolverine, and then when you grow and mature, you realize Wolverine is very immature.
Yeah.
He doesn't take accountability.
Not a team player where it's like, okay, it's like, no, I go do whatever I want.
Right.
And it's like, okay, but you're not supporting the team that you're a part of. You're letting us down, and you're putting us in danger because you feel like you're gonna go off and do this on your own, where you're gonna fail, and we're gonna come in and help you as a team. But okay, we'll wait for that to happen.
Well, it's like that episode where they leave Morph to die.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So like they land, and then Wolverine gets off the plane and he sucker punches Cyclops.
Yeah.
Right? Motherfucker, you got on the plane and left him too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then you wait till you land to go punch him?
Yeah.
Like you could have stayed there. You heal. You could have saved him.
Yeah.
You chose to get on the plane too.
Totally get why Cyclops did that. He had to think of the team, unfortunately. I mean, this is the harsh reality behind it.
Right. So it's all about maturing.
Yeah. It is. I mean, I'm totally going to be about that. Like, I'm going to watch it, but I don't subscribe to Disney Plus right now. I used to.
Right.
But I'm going to wait for some of the episodes to come out.
That's what I'm going to do, too.
Hopefully, I can just do a month and just binge watch it, but because I really don't watch Disney Plus that much.
There's not a whole lot of time, honestly, for me to do something like that, too. So I've been cutting a lot of that stuff.
Yeah. But I'm going to wait. Yeah, I'm going to wait, and I'm going to binge it. I'm not going to watch it right away. So I'm just kind of like want to savor it. Like, I'm ready for this, though. I'm very excited.
I am, too. I've been keeping an eye on it. Yes.
I'm sorry. I still have like all my original comics from when I was a kid, from all the X-Men run. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, so I still
Those probably have a lot of value to them, too.
Not really. Like, people think, because in the 90s, the big comic boom in the 90s, because everybody thought they were going to be valuable, so everybody bought comics. And
they all have them still.
Like my most important ones, like I got the first appearance of Deadpool. I got the first appearance of Cable.
Okay.
I got the X-Men #1. I got Deadpool #1. I got all those, but they're not $50.
No.
I was like, this is going to be worth thousands when I was 12.
It might be worth thousands, in a couple of years.
Right.
But that might just be because of inflation.
Yeah, it's true. So,
no, I'm a big Cyclops fan. I don't know if anybody that watches the show now watched it back then, but I was occasionally a guest on here on the House of Machismo before this year, and I was trying to push. Now, of course, there's a different showrunner on it, but I was trying to push. I think it was Brian Songer or whatever to try to get cast as Cyclops, because I think he's got such an interesting story. Because he's the good guy, he's the team captain, whatever. But eventually, at least, and you're probably more of a comic book guy than I am, but I hear that he goes like on a villain arc, kind of. Like that seems like a fun role to play. Somebody who's the good guy and keeps on going, but then eventually gets pushed to this evil side. And I'm like, that seems like a lot of juicy character work as an actor that I would want to be able to play as.
Well, what it was is that he kind of grows, like they kind of feel like he kind of grows to be like, well, Professor X is full of shit. And then he kind of gets radicalized, like, he becomes more like Magneto, and it kind of brings that phrase, Cyclops was right. And he becomes like very anti-authoritarian, very anti-cop, very punk rock. And, everybody, the cartoon depicts him as this Boy Scout, but in the comics, Cyclops is, one of the head guys that just like will wreck shit in order to get the peace. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I really like how that has grown, because people always look like a shit on him, like, oh, it's just a little 6-foot white boy trying to tell us what to do.
Yeah.
When in actuality, he's just like, no, fuck the police.
Yeah.
Fuck poverty, fuck all this. We gotta do what's right for everybody. And he does it through radical means, but that's just growing as the character.
Yeah. Because honestly, it's like it's getting to play the hero probably for like a movie or two.
Yeah.
And then you can start transitioning the character to being more of a villain.
Right.
And to be able to play a hero and a villain all in one character, oh my God. I dream of a character like that.
I think over the years, over the generations, actually, a lot of these animated shows started becoming more complex, storytelling, like
not as serialized.
Right. Yeah. So, and I'll bring this up. Okay, doesn't have anything to do with X-Men, but I used to watch the old DuckTales series, the old ones, which was pretty cool. I enjoyed it. The newer one that's also on Disney Plus, I watched it as an adult, and I'm like, these are way more complex stories than what the original had. Great, I love the new series. And
the voice acting's great in it.
It's great, and they explored like different layers of the characters that we never even knew. The old character, that they had. They did a great job, and I'm like, are kids grasping this? Maybe now they're learning, these different kind of layers and morals and stuff. About family and teamwork and all that, with all this action and stuff. And so that's what I'm hoping. X-Men actually kind of had that. It was the beginning of that. So what I liked about X-Men is that they were about including discrimination, like anti-discrimination. It's like, hey, we're being discriminated on.
They're saying it's too woke now.
It was always been woke.
It's always been like that.
Yeah, it's always been woke. 100% woke.
It's always been about civil rights.
Yeah. And so if you didn't get that as a message, then you're stupid.
Yes.
And so I was like, obviously, just enjoy Wolverine going, how about these? But other than that, it's always been a woke show, but it also made me realize it's like, yeah, we do treat people who are different from us, badly, in some cases or in most cases and stuff. That's what I grew up with, along with the awesome action, that they had. But the stories were kind of getting kind of complex and layered then in the 90s. So I'm kind of curious to see how it is now, because it picks up right where it left off, right?
Right. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So it picks up in 97. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the original series in 95, 96.
Yeah.
So,
well, my fingers are crossed, but unfortunately, I've kind of lost faith in some of the Marvel writing right now. So.
It's gonna. I think Deadpool's gonna save it all.
I don't think it is.
I think they're gonna make it go a different direction than what we think it's gonna happen. Because right now, I think the past 2 years, they've been kind of had no direction. They're just flying by the seat of their pants.
The problem that I had with Disney/Marvel is that they weren't coming through with their promises in a prompt time.
Right.
So for me, they took too long to make Black Panther 2.
Yes.
Way too long.
Mm-hmm. Well, pandemic happened, and
even before that, it could already been done.
Yep.
But they're making all these promises like, hey, how about we're gonna have this, we're gonna have that, we're gonna have this, we're gonna have that. Still waiting on a lot of those projects that were pre-pandemic, during pandemic.
Yeah.
And now,
honestly, I don't like those decons and D23 and all that stuff like that, because what they do is then they set this expectation, but while doing it, right, you got like 10 15 movies, and you have like 2 Spider-Mans. You're like, well, I guess Spider-Man's not gonna die in the first one, right? Like, it takes some of the suspense out of it, even though right, it's not gonna happen, he's not gonna die, but there's that little part of you that are like, oh, he's facing adversity, he might not be able to make it through it. When you start announcing all this stuff in like 10 years in the future, you're like, oh, I already know there's no adversity at this point.
Right. Well, okay, so are you guys the kind of people that want stuff to happen exactly like in the comics? Because I'm kind of the trend of not, because then you already know what's going to happen anyway.
Right. What I've seen lately is that the more comic accurate Marvel has come, like after Endgame, it's become more comic accurate.
Yeah.
The ratings went down because it's just like, well, because it's more comic accurate. It's out there. It's strange. It's this.
Yeah.
But and also you got to realize like Captain America, Iron Man, and all that stuff when it came out as the movies. At that time, the comic itself wasn't that good. There's only like 2 or 3 storylines. Civil War. Which they didn't even really adapt Civil War. It was a totally different storyline.
Yeah.
But the more comic accurate it's got, the more the critics have panned it. Like Thor: Love and Thunder. Thor: Love and Thunder is the most comic accurate Thor movie.
Yeah.
It's literally opening the Thor comic book. But
actually, no,
the earlier ones were like more to the writing of the movie.
Yeah.
And they changed stuff and everything like that, but they're more like the first Iron Man's more critically accepted. But like my third Iron Man, since it's more comic book accurate, they were just like, it's not that good.
I mean, they had
Moon
the
Knight.
Mandarin though. Yeah. I mean, the Mandarin wasn't the real Mandarin, which I mean, I was okay with Sir Ben Kingsley being the actual Mandarin, because that would be cool, right? That's cool. And then they made him an actor, and then it was like, no, and then people were upset because they're like, oh, well,
they kind of teased it out
because the Mandarin had rings, and and then they retconned it in a Marvel short where like the real Mandarin was like, fuck you, mister.
Right.
I think some of the issues is that the filmmakers, I guess, or the production companies or whoever makes it, they don't want to follow the comic book exactly, because for me, it's like, I don't want to know how it ends exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, what's the point of watching it if you already know how it ends?
Right.
But then also, you got to find that I think you use the comic book as a guide, but you got to tell your own story.
Right.
And so I think that's where fans, they don't like that. It's like, don't tell me your story as an interpreter. Just do exactly what's in the comic.
Right.
But when you give them what they want, so it's like, it's
the interpretation fails.
Yeah, it's not as exciting.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, what people don't understand is that when you're telling a story in a comic, the arcs are different. They are. There's no arguing. You can argue, it's like, no, they're not. They are. Storytelling. Yeah. Believe me, I've taken classes. I've been through this crap. The stories are different than storytelling in a movie.
Right.
Just like the book is always better than the movie, because the storytelling, the story arc in a book, it cannot be compared to what's in a movie.
Right.
And so the movie it's a formula. So it's just like with the book, just like with the comic book, there are formulas that you have to follow, unfortunately.
Or elements.
The elements. You can't think outside the box too much, because then it won't work.
Right.
And then your audience is like, well, I don't know, this wasn't fulfilling at all.
Well, it's like Thor Ragnarok. It's not an exact story arc.
Yeah.
It's actually elements of 5 different stories from 5 different comic books, and they just put it all together in one movie. Yeah,
I liked Ragnarok. Yeah, a lot of people didn't,
but it was elements like World War Hulk, the Gladiator Thor, stuff like that.
For me, as Ragnarok, I thought was great.
Yes, it was.
But what was it? Love and Thunder?
Yeah,
no,
because it was more comic book accurate.
Right. But it's just because it was just it's just too much going on.
Yeah,
I guess and so it just didn't follow that movie formula.
Right.
I guess where if you're gonna an example like if you're gonna make a tragedy, there's certain things you have to do in order to set it up as a tragedy, and then the tragic thing happens. If it's going to be a romantic comedy, there's certain things you got to do to set it up as a romance, being comedic along the way, and then there's a payoff at the end.
Correct.
Same thing with a horror, same thing with drama, whatever. There are certain things you have to do to set the story up along the way in order for it to pay off in a certain way at the end. If it doesn't, then subconsciously it leaves the audience not liking it. You can like certain elements of it. Love and Thunder, I love certain elements of it, but for the most part...
The aesthetic, the look of it's beautiful. It's great, the way it was shot and everything.
Yeah.
But it falls flat.
But it falls flat.
Because you can't tell me one good story arc from Thor.
No.
You can't. No.
Yeah.
You can't.
Yeah.
There's probably 1 or 2 good story arcs of Iron Man, 1 or 2, 3 of Captain America. But X-Men always had the greatest ones, and they've already done all those storylines to death.
Yeah.
The Dark Phoenix, the God Love Man Kills, all that stuff.
But it comes back to what we talked about.
Yeah.
It comes back to what we talked about before we started recording. Is like it helps to cast hot people.
Yes. Yes.
So Thor, oh boy, whatever,
Oh, but, Thor without a shirt.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
But anyway.
Find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio, or wherever you stream your podcast. Be sure to like our Facebook page and follow us on Instagram. You can also find us on our YouTube channel and TikTok.